You don't have imposter syndrome. You are the imposter. You're not meant to be in the place that you're desperately trying to fit into. You feel alone, even when you're not, and you feel out of place in your own life. But the quicker you accept that you are the imposter, the easier it will be to navigate in your own self discovery.
So you ask yourself, who am I? Who do I want to become? You also have to ask, what makes you happy? Because if you're not happy, how can you discover who you truly are? Does it make you happy? Does it make you want to go and keep going and pushing to get more out of who you are? Self-reflection starts in silence, by yourself, with no external thoughts. Only thinking about who do you want to become? Who represents you? The words or your actions?
Your actions speak louder than words. It's why when you feel a certain way, when you do certain things, it's a lot different from when you say things. You say you're going to do one thing and then you do another. I don't feel good.
At all.
That's why when I was in the situation, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. But what brought me to my lowest of my lowest when I could not do what I wanted to do. First time that ever happened to me, I got hurt. Couldn't play football no more. I didn't know who I was outside of football. I had no idea of my true identity. And everything outside of that, it felt like I was misaligned, so I was unhappy. Moving forward into my adult life, when I felt most unhappy, I was misaligned when I was at jobs, when I was working, because it wasn't what I wanted to do. Actions speak louder than words. I'm saying one thing, I'm saying what I'm gonna be, but I'm doing something else. I'm supposed to be showing up for myself. I'm supposed to be filming videos. I'm supposed to be a movie star, but I'm bagging groceries. I'm stocking shelves. I'm doing everything outside of who I want to be. And that's why I felt like shit.
So like, what was that first step for you that started putting you in the right path, that opened your mind and gave you some clarity on like who Shimon Davis was?
Well, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. Because after I got hurt, I came back and I was in that very bed right there. And I remember I was laying down, my hip was hurting, and I was thinking, it's like, man, I don't feel good. I think I'm gonna just get up, I'm gonna go outside, run some routes, go run.
Yeah.
And then I went to move.
And
That ain't saying the same thing. That body wasn't saying the same thing. So I'm like, damn. Like, that's when I realized that physical activity was an outlet for me to express myself.
Right.
And I was still in that situation where I was trying to figure out who I was outside of football. So diving into that, I sat there and I thought, I was like, what do I actually like? Football. And I'm like, nah. What do I actually love? Football. And I'm like, nah, I got to get out of football. But I realized that freedom and expression was always my biggest thing. I like playing receiver. I like playing running back because you get to put moves on people. You're on that island. You're not on no line. Like, you still have camaraderie with the team, but you are you. And it's not a selfish thing. It's just expression. And then I was in talented art. I like to draw. I like to paint.
Right.
Everything up there I've done, and I wanted to be in movies. So everything about me was always freedom and expression. I remember when I got into talented art, I got into class, I'm like, bro, you have a class where you can draw and paint? And it was like, well, guys, let's shade. And I was like, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It attacked my freedom. It attacked my need for my own expression. And it was like a light bulb that lit up in my head. I was like, I just want to be free. It's not about money. It's not about a certain career. I just want to be in a position where I can do exactly what it is that I want to do. And the first thing that I noticed that was right there, it was TikTok. That's when TikTok had just started off. I seen some stuff that I was willing to do. It was like acting content people was doing, like role plays and lip syncing stuff and doing skits. And I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So that's where it all took off for me. And I think it's important to question who you are. Who were you when you were a child? That's when you knew yourself the best, but you weren't aware of self-discovery and knowing
100%.
who you are. But that's who you are.
100%.
The child is in here, but it's like we get away from that. So that's why I would say I started in my journey.
I think we get away from it though because we're always told to grow up, and we think that growing up is forgetting that we're no longer a child and that we have grown-up decisions to make because that's what society demands of us. But growing up is not just being more mature, but it's also understanding your emotions, understanding your feelings. Like, how does this affect me? How does this make me feel? and it's not allowing those emotions to always get the best of you. I'm not saying we're gonna be perfect, but if you understand why something makes you react that way, then you have a better opportunity to gauge how you will respond in certain situations.
Yeah.
And that way you're able to, just understand how we can just navigate it better altogether. Because like how you were saying, football was who you were. Like that was all you knew. And I relate to that just as much as you do, and you know that. But the hard part about that is realizing that that's just one chapter of many chapters of your life. And understanding that just because one didn't work out, don't mean that all of them not gonna work out. And it's also remembering taking those in real time lessons that you learn from the game of football, which is being knocked down time and time again and having to get back up. Because that's what life do. And life did that to me. Life has done that to you. But at the end of the day, the reason we here to have a conversation about it is because although life is still lifing, it's not getting the best of us.
Not at all.
Not at all. Because if it do get the best of us, I better be dead.
You know what I mean? I can't fight back. Yeah, that led me to think about something too, because I feel like a lot of us, when we're dealing with misalignment, it's because we don't know what we want to do. We're not sure. We may be working towards something like, you get a job and you fighting for a promotion and you get the promotion. You're like, do I even want to do this? It's like, bro, I don't want to be the advisor of people throwing boxes up here. I don't want to oversee a tire shop. Like, this is not what I want to do. And if you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with that. But in my situation, I felt like I was mistreated and not given an opportunity. At the highest level of football that I played, which was high school, through association, I could have won 10 Heismans.
Man,
they
may be glad they went headed them out.
I'm trying to tell you, it was no doubt. But once I got there, I kind of had that to lean on to help me find myself. It was like, man, they mistreated me. It was like, so maybe it wasn't meant for me. But him, on the other hand, and many people could attest, hell, if we wanted to score, we give him the ball. And he's 3 years older than me, but. Hell, at the end of every game, good game, good job, seven, you him. Like every game he was gonna put on. And I remember, at the end of the season, everybody crying when we lost in the playoffs. I was like, Taj, like, it's on the fake you. He said, I left my all on the field. I ain't got nothing to cry about. I got a scholarship. I'm going to play. But I didn't know that dude didn't know who he was. I didn't know that you were still fighting to identify yourself. So how, from your perspective, you had the opportunity, you had the chances, hell, you had a scholarship, many scholarships, and like you were solidified in a certain place, and you had love for it and doing it, but like how was that from your perspective? You didn't have the crutch, or they didn't treat me right. Maybe they didn't, but it wasn't like, we had similar experiences but different perspectives. So how was that for you?
I think for me, like one thing that I guess I struggled with was just dealing with not knowing who Taj was after high school. I played quarterback, but I always had a desire to play receiver. And then I think getting the opportunity to really play receiver in college, but really not having a real knowledge of the position outside of watching people when I would watch my brother play at LSU on Saturdays or just watching film in general. It just left me in this gray area of like, am I able to complete the task in front of me, right? And the task is more so, can I change positions and be successful at it like I was in high school? Am I still that same football player? Because when you're in high school, if you're good, you're the best on the team and probably the best in the surrounding area.
Yep.
But when you get to college, everybody was there. Like, everybody was the best in the surrounding area. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody scored 4 or 5 touchdowns a night.
Yeah.
Everybody rushed for 1,000+ yards or had 1,000+, And I think for me, it was remembering, like, what got me here. Like, what got me to this? What opened this door for me? And it was the grit. It was the being undeniable, bro. Like, I went to camps where I knew I wasn't the best player out there to catch the ball, but I knew I had to catch the ball better than the person in front of me. So for me, it was the back of the line because that meant I had to catch the ball better than everybody else because I've never done this. And I got to college and I was so confused to the point where I think those first 2 years, I lost a lot of time. just not going to class a couple days and like being at practice but not mentally being at practice, like thinking about that party that weekend. And then like that second year of getting a few chances to play and seeing like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, and it's realizing that like, okay, if I'm good at it, how can I be better? And it's like analyzing every action that I've done leading up to that moment. Like what, again, it's like what got me to college, right? It was when everybody else was at the fair, I'm up there running through bags. You know what I mean? Like when everybody like thinking that I'm at home playing the game, I'm doing lunges. Like, because lunges are important. Like I'm trying to stretch, I'm trying to find new workouts that's gonna give me this much of an edge. And if it's just this much, I want just this much.
Won't just that much.
You know what I mean? And I had to learn how to take that approach not only in the game of football, but also in the game of life, right? Because I was in school to get an education, not just to play football. So one day football gonna be over. They don't always prepare you for that, but one day football gonna be over. Because when you're playing football, all they ever talk about is going pro. And for me, it was definitely a little bit different conversation of like, not only am I gonna go pro, but am I gonna go pro like my brother? Like, you know what I mean? And it was, I think that representation that my brother had already placed out there for who, like, the bloodline of my family is, like, that also kind of made me lose who I wanted to be.
That's what I wanted to touch on too. Like, it was a few points in your story and just a conversation that made me think about comparison. Like, and I seen you maybe like while you was younger, you thinking about outperforming everybody here, but that's pressure. Whole time it's supposed to be, I'm supposed to outperform me.
Yeah.
I'm in the competition with me. Then as you move on, I see, you doing things to get the edge over other people. That's basic competitiveness, competitive nature. But it's like you're growing more into who you are, but touching on your younger self, it was always Big Brother Ty. Big Brother, he done went and won the state championship in the town with 4,000 people, and went to LSU. He done went to the NFL, and it's like, what you gonna do, Lil McGee?
Yeah,
and it's 100%. Like, damn. So from a very early age, you taught football is everything. We go to school, the football players get to leave early. We got designated class. Like, it's all football. And they don't teach you, like, bro, this may not work out. You may get hurt. Maybe this is something else you want to do. And we always talked about how you was in school. It was deeper than football. It was about education because the body may not hold up. Me and him both dealt with injuries and stuff. And the more you get injured, the more you realize that it's really not worth it. Football is fun. I love football, but bro, getting your head banged up, your knee, you 20 years old, you limping and you getting like, it ain't that.
Yeah.
But comparison, what do you think it was for you? What questions did you ask yourself to kind of get out of that, being somebody else's little brother, kind of, and people may not mean it, but they was making you something that you wasn't. Like, it was never about Taj McGee. It was Tata's little brother. Even though you made a name for yourself, but it was still that comparison factor from an early age. So how did you unlearn that?
So I would say, thinking about it, like sitting here thinking about it, one moment in particular comes to mind. Me and my mother was actually in the store one day. So like the inner me knew the answer to this question before I knew the answer to this question, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody asked me like, are you gonna be good like your brother? And I vividly remember telling them like, my brother was good, but I'm gonna be better. But I also don't care how good he was. And like, I don't know what type, like anybody that knows me know that I was like somebody that was very outspoken. Like I didn't,
you're gonna
like
tell
if
you
I
how
had
you
something
feel.
to say, like I wasn't keeping it to myself. So I think the older I got, I realized that I was like, until I got to junior high, I wasn't really good at football. So when people would ask me that, I wasn't really confident in the answer. Mm-hmm. And the only way I can combat that answer was getting angry. Because you constantly always identify me as his little brother, in which I never had a problem with being his little brother, but I was my own individual. Yeah. And I think given the opportunity in junior high to play up in 7th grade, like gave me the chance to just like start making a name for myself. Like when I started reading my name in the newspaper, it gave me a sense of like who I was. And then it was like, okay, well, I got in there this week, I need to be in there next week. So that means I need to score 2 touchdowns because I had Rodney King on the other side that was competing with me. You know what I mean? So like, just trying to find a way to make a name for myself. And when I say that, it was not trying to be like my brother, but it was trying to be more like Taj. Mm-hmm. And in that process, I learned that Taj liked football, but he don't like football the way his brother do.
Mm.
He likes other things too. And that's not to say that my brother didn't like other things, but
Yeah.
I just felt like at that point in time, being that he had already made it to such a high level and done a lot of things, the football part was easier because I think people just expected me to be good.
Mm.
So the hard part was actually just living up to that. And when I say live up to that, it wasn't living up to their standards, but I did have a chip on my shoulder, like I want to be better than him. So yeah, that level of work I put in, I wanted to put in a level of work to say, well, I got offers too.
Yeah.
I broke records too. Like I went to the playoffs too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the hard part, I think in all of that, I say all that to say that I didn't even really still know who I was. Like, I feel like I'm still figuring that out.
Mm-hmm.
But I know who Taj is now as a football player because it's done. It's over with. Those injuries that I had, like the concussions I've had, have taught me who I was because it taught me that football ain't that important. Like your health is important, but it also taught me how to persevere, like through trying times where you really don't see an end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you only see what's in front of you, and sometimes what's in front of you can look just as hard as seeing the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
And I had to realize that the only way that I can ever find out who I am is just by taking that first step of like looking in the mirror and questioning, like, who am I? Like, what makes me happy? What truly brings me joy? And like, not only what brings me joy, but like, what can I do to work more what can I do to get closer to that happiness?
Mm.
And is that stepping away from the game of football and discovering who I am? Is that still playing football, but not being afraid of what somebody else might say about me for trying something different or doing something different? Because I felt like that held me back in my life a lot too. Just being nervous about external thoughts.
Yeah.
That really don't dictate nothing.
Yeah.
Because external thoughts are always present.
Always. It's almost like you fighting for permission to be yourself. And when you realize that people gonna have something to say regardless, that frees you. Like, I promise you, if you went out to the nearest body of water, wherever y'all live, and you start walking on water, he can't swim, so he walking on water. They
forgot the fact that you actually walking on water.
Walking on water. The miracle, it's like it went, oh, he can't swim. Like, he think he Jesus.
It's just because they gotta find something negative about it.
Gotta find something.
Or they have to discredit it in some way, I guess you could say. Like,
and where does that come from?
Yeah.
Insecurities.
Not being comfortable with who you are yourself. And a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, I struggle with that at times.
Likewise.
And I think the one part that we all miss is the humanity side of everybody, realizing that nobody's really perfect.
And I just had this conversation too, digging into insecurities, because everything has a role in it. But I was insecure. Now, you probably don't even know this. I was so insecure, I wanted different parents. Like I have different genetics. I didn't want to be black. I didn't want my nose. I didn't want my hair. And most of the people that picked on me wanted what I had.
Yeah.
I used to want to look like Michael Jackson before the vitiligo took over. But I wanted to look like Michael Jackson. I wanted to be Michael Jackson. I wanted to dance like Michael Jackson. And I grew older and realized that Michael Jackson didn't want to look like Michael Jackson. So the distorted reality that you can have from external sources, it's sad, bro, and it's nasty. And I used to hate the way I look. My mama tell me, you so handsome. I'm like, she lying to me.
Man.
She's saying that because I'm her son. When I go back and look at myself, I look like me.
Yeah.
You already know. He used to call me little devil, but I've always looked like me. And it's sad that your reality can be distorted because you're looking everywhere else. And we have this tendency, when it's time for us to look inside of ourselves, we look outward. When it's time for us to look outward, we look in. It's just human nature to self-sabotage. So that leads me to finding a balance. I like to call it the work-life balance because it's just a basic term, but it can be thrown all across life. So when you're looking to find yourself, but you also maybe have a job, or you're looking to find yourself, but you also may have a passion, how do you kind of bridge the gap in between work and life balance? And just for example, so let's say you have a job that you actually like, but there's always this little thing like, am I really doing this for me? Like, would I feel okay with being judged if I was to step away from this? How can you kind of start essentially putting eggs in your own basket and, finding yourself, wow, maintaining what you have to do or, you know, what you like?
Yeah, for me, I think it's realizing what's good for you, right? First, you have to realize what's actually good for you. In a sense, I mean, like, what are your end goals? Like, when you're 60 years old, what do you want to turn around and say that you've accomplished? You know, like, who are you? You know, and you really have to think about that. Like, you have to think of a 1 through 10, like, list of numeric things of, like, what represents who you are and, like, what are you going to say? Because when you die, like, the only thing you have to represent your life is a dash. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to realize, do I want kids? You know what I mean? Like, so if I want kids, what type of father I want to be? Do I want to be somebody that lies and don't do what they say they're going to do? Do I want to tell my kids, like, Dad's going to get you into this school, but then my child is expecting to go to school there, and then I don't have the funds to send them?
Sure.
So it's like something that my brother says to me all the time is like, hey, you need to invest in stocks. So in order for me to invest in stocks, I have to learn stocks. So that means I have to set that time aside. Because we all know we're going to be tired when we get off from work. Like, the demands of work is maybe 9 to 5 and maybe 11, 12 hours. It could be like me. It could be like some people that work at the mill that work strenuous hours,
14,
16 hours, you know what I mean? And I think the same sacrifice you make to go mow the grass because you're tired, you have to make that same sacrifice in your dreams of who you want to become. Because nobody's going to put that time in for you. Nobody's going to learn that new skill. Nobody's going to pay that rent for you. So, like, when you want that new source of income, you can't expect outside to find it for you. You have to expect the person that's looking in the mirror to find it for you. Like, those opportunities are all around you, but it's on you to find them. So, like, when you're talking about self-discovery, putting the eggs in your own basket, like, the eggs are just like, it's just like Easter. They're out there in the yard. You just gotta go find them. You know what I mean? So, like, it's remembering that everything that you want is literally at your fingertips. Like, I think a lot of people depend on circumstances to be excuses. And I'm not saying that circumstances don't hinder you. I'm not saying that by any means, because I feel like my circumstances in football growing up were a lot different than yours, right? Like, we can go down the list of things that I had going for me, and you could go down the list of things you had going for you. One is going to be longer than the other, whereas, like, the list of things you had going against, that one is going to be longer than the other. And everybody's story is similar and different at the same time.
Yep.
And the important part is remembering that although you might have started with $1 million in your account, and I might have started with 0, it makes you no different than me. Because you wake up, you put your shoes on the same way, your socks on the same way, your boxes on the same way, or whatever else you putting on. But it's just the fact of the matter to remember that, like, we all start at 0, even though you might have a different number. We all start with the same opportunity, and the opportunity is the life you wake up with. You look yourself in the mirror and you have to ask yourself, again, I know I stated this, but who am I? And who do I want to become? And, like, again, like that dash, that who do I want to become and who am I is just like the day you were born and the day you die. And the reason I say that is because the only reason you can answer those questions is about what you do in between that time.
What you do in between.
And if you're not waking up every day striving to be 1% better, then what are you really doing? Wasting time?
Wasting time.
Because, like, 1%, I've said this in my videos, 1% is not making 20 decisions in one day. It's making one decision today for a better tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, you make 2 decisions. Because that one decision you made yesterday made it easier for you to make it again today.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It makes today harder and tomorrow easier.
Yeah.
And that just taking everything one step at a time, making one hard decision today is gonna make tomorrow easier, and then the next day easier. And it's not gonna feel like it right away. Trust. But you gotta step outside of yourself sometimes. That's why it's important to set goals, to have a target. Because when you do all these things, when you're working to find yourself and you're not actually writing these things, jotting these things down, you feel like you're doing nothing. If we went outside right now, we're like, who got the best aim? And we just shoot at the grass.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at each other, well, hell.
We all got the best aim.
We all got the best aim. Now we gonna set us up a target about 25 yards back there. We got natural sights and we aiming. And I shoot a little bit high, he shoot dead, bullseye. Who got the best aim?
Probably
He do. You know what I'm saying? Because you can track it.
That make a lot of sense. And, like, that's why it's important. Like, you know, everybody measures like refer back to football.
Mm-hmm.
You measure a successful season based upon the record at the end of the season, not based upon how many people you sent to college.
Right.
Although the percentage you send to college is also just as important as the record at the end of the season. So if I send 22 people to college to play football on a full ride scholarship, but we went 3-5, was I a successful coach? That's the question, right?
Perspective.
Yeah.
Is everything.
It's everything. So it's like the person that's struggling right now, I ask you, are you in a bad situation that can't get any better? Or are you in a bad situation with a lot of opportunity to get better? And it's all about how you view it, right? You see everything that you don't want around you, so you already know what you don't want.
That's
So
what I
everything
say,
you
man.
want is in front of you.
When you're in a bad situation, that is one of the best places to be. It don't feel like it, bro. It don't feel like it. And I tell people, how do I find out what I want to do? Well, look at your surroundings. I'm washing dishes. Man, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. I'm already halfway closer to what I want to do because I know what I don't want to do. And one of my favorite quotes is, when you reach rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go. All you can do is go up. The only way is up. You know what I'm saying? So it's a blessing to be under pressure. Pressure is privilege. We go get married, we want diamonds on our ring. Where you think diamonds come from? Pressure.
Yep.
Deep down in the ground, there's molecules getting crushed harder than you can imagine. And that pressure, it makes diamonds. So that's just, life is a blessing, bro. Just to wake up and even breathe, even to go through stuff, it's a blessing that don't feel like it. But when you just take time to slow down everything, be thankful for the small things. You get up, you got the ability to make your bed. Like when you get hurt, when you get sick, when your nose gets sopped up, you like, damn, I miss that easy air. So you get hurt, you concussed in your hips and your bones broken, and you like, damn, I wish I could hold my toothbrush again. That little stuff matter. So you really take time to slow down and appreciate those things. Just appreciate being here and be thankful for the things that you have, not being worried about what you don't have. But really, little do you know, is the things that you don't have, you already have them. Life just has to catch up. You got to make life believe that you're worthy of it, though. I can say I'm gonna get a Lambo. I'm gonna get a Lambo. Now, what is you gonna do to get a Lambo?
Right.
I'm gonna sit here and post on Instagram. And that's it. It don't work like that,
Well, you
bro.
notice about the Lambo posting on Instagram, but no real action.
No
behind
real
the post.
action. And you have opportunities to do these things. You have opportunities to change. That's why it's important to analyze the situation you're in. Because I could say I spend 10 hours a day on Instagram, but I'm gonna be making money from that 10 hours a day on Instagram. Somebody else could be scrolling for 10 hours and they made nothing. Somebody else could be scrolling for 10 hours and looking for inspiration. Somebody else could be scrolling for 10 hours and marketing something. It's all different perspectives. When I was working, in the grocery store, I didn't want to be there, but what was I doing? I'm staring at babies, trying to make myself be more confident and having contact, because I could not look people in the eyes. And people that stare the worst are babies. They don't care if you tall, short, they in the cart, you know what I'm saying? They still looking. So I'm like, who the hell is you looking at?
Yeah.
And I'm looking down the aisle, and I wanted the babies to look away first, and it helped me, look people in the eyes. And now I'm at the register, I'm talking. I don't want to be there, but I gotta talk. Hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I see you get steak out cooking steak
working
tonight.
on your people skills.
I'm working on my people skills, and now I'm talking to a camera. We talking, and I have these social skills and a certain energy about myself. I could be frowned up. When I was working out there, people walk up, you ain't supposed to be here, and I'm like, what are you talking about? They like, you supposed to be doing something. What you really want to do with your life? I want to be in movies. Yep, that's it. Get out. I'm coming back in 2 weeks to get groceries. I don't want to see you here. And it's like, when you work on you, when you make the best out of the situations you are given, that you're in, when you don't allow yourself to make excuses because of your circumstances, you're going to bloom, bro. You become the rose that grows to the concrete. That's a beautiful story.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
It don't get no better than that.
It don't get no better than that, man. It makes the story that much sweeter.
That's crazy that you even made that statement, because that go back to that conversation we was having the other day when I was on the way home from work and you was going out east.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's crazy how like life really has full circle moments. And when I say that, is I was talking to my brother and I was asking him, like, is it just me, or does this happen to you as well? Like where you go through something and it's a lesson you get to learn from it, right? But later in life, or a few months, few weeks, you get that same opportunity to either act on the lesson you learned or to, again, have to learn it again, right? And I feel like in my life, I've had those situations happen to me several times where, like, I had the football season ahead of me, right? Like, it's spring ball, and I had a new coach, and it was a new opportunity, and it was like, okay, do I attack this the same way that I've always done, or do I try something different? Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's really asking yourself, are you insane, or are you not insane? You know what I mean? Because what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again. Expected
different results. So it's like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that to myself. I've been here this amount of time. I put in this amount of work, and it's like, I either want a end goal in this, and I want to be successful at it, or do I want to just like be a failure or not be satisfied with what I got out of it, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to fully commit myself to this, to the point where I'm not going to allow any outside things deter me from what my goal is. I had the best spring ball I ever had. Like, you know what I mean? I set myself up for a great opportunity to have a great season. But again, life is always going life. And when I say that is, I broke both of my hands, right? So like right in the prime of everything. And it's like, okay, let me test your mindset now. I see you have the physical attributes to get where you want to be, but where is your mindset? Are you mentally prepared for the success that I have in life for you? And the answer to that question was no at the time. And I still feel like it's an uneasy way to answer that. And I say that because mentally, I thought I had it figured out. And I feel like we always gonna feel like we always got it figured out. But that's when you get to the curve in the road and you can't see around it. You never know what's gonna happen. And it's not about what's gonna happen to you. It's about how you respond to what happens to you. And that's what God was testing me with, I felt like, in that moment, because I was having the best part of my season. Like, even I was getting more and more opportunities. And like, the hardest part was making a phone call to my mom's and being like, hey, I'm done for the season. And she like, what's wrong? I don't see you on the field no more. Well, like, obviously, because we on the phone talking and the game going on. But what I learned from that is that although everything could be going good, there's always a moment it can go bad. Mm. And although it can go bad, that doesn't mean it's the worst moment there is. It just means it's preparing you for the next one.
Absolutely.
And the next moment for me was, how do I recover? How do I bounce back? Like, I thought that my finger was gone because it was turned sideways like an L.
I was looking at the x-ray earlier.
You know what I mean? And it was like, all right, cool. So now do I have 4 fingers or do I have 5? You know what I mean? So it's trying to figure that out. But like, I'm laughing about it now, but I was truly worried, right? Hurt. And I was hurt because it was really, I only had 1 more year after that. And it was like, if I wanted to have a chance to go to the league, like, it had to be this year and next year put together. Yeah. And granted, that didn't happen. That wasn't in the cards for me. And here I am now talking to you in front of cameras, doing something that I've always wanted to do, but never had, like, I guess nobody ever pushed me off the cliff and said, go and do it, but wasn't nobody supposed to push me off the cliff. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to jump myself. And I think having that moment of like being in that isolation after being hurt, being able to sit with myself and realize that, okay, football is done now, what do I do? But I think at the same time of not knowing that and being pushed into, hey, you got to get a job now. And like going to do a job, like going to do a job that you really don't want to do. And that's where I was. I was doing a job I really didn't like. Again, trying to figure out who I was because I still wanted that team aspect. I wanted to feel like I'm fighting for something because I was only a couple months removed from the game, you know. Yeah. And like realizing that I still have all those things around me. Like my family is my team and my camaraderie. Like realizing that my strength don't only come from like my people, but it comes from my everyday activities. Like if I'm pouring into me through my activities, like through my practices every day, like you said, making the bed, that's the first win of the day. Like you never feel like you lose if you get that first win of the day from making the bed. And then like the second win is, okay, is the other part, nourishing your body, making sure your body has the correct nourishment. Like feeding yourself that morning, getting yourself prepared. Like I would never show up to a game without proper sleep, without a good meal, you know, not having my cleats ready, you know what I mean? So why would I go to work without having good food in my body? Why would I start my day without that? Like why do I attack a goal without having an actual structured plan to win and achieve that goal? Like why wake up and be like, I'm gonna be the next president, but don't know how to get there? Yeah. So why am I making that claim? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think it was just realizing after the game was like, hey, what do I really want out of life? And I know we've said that several times in this clip, but like, it's just realizing, hey, I want this, and this. I want to have this house. I want to have this car. I want to have my family to live in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, but in order to live there, you have to make a certain type of money. You got to be in a certain tax.
Credit score got to be a certain way. Yeah.
And it was realizing, where am I lacking knowledge? Like, okay, and then it's like going and finding that knowledge. What I was lacking was understanding for who I was. So to find that knowledge, I had to self-reflect. In order to self-reflect, I had to be by myself.
And it just always comes back down to you. Every time.
You determine you. You determine your future. Nobody determines your future but you. You can create. They say this is the land of what?
Creation.
Of opportunity.
It's creation.
My bad. It's the land of opportunity.
It is.
Like, you know what I mean? And the land of opportunity, they could say it's here, it's there, it's there. But land of opportunity is in front of you. That's what I mean.
Your own hands.
Yeah.
Here.
You create what you want to create. YouTube is a place for creation. That's why this content is here. That's why we talking to explain that it's not just you that can have an idea. It's me that can have an idea. It's you that can have an idea. But it's also you that can capitalize and make yourself better and reflect on who you are and become a better you for tomorrow.
Yep. And in the situation now, you probably the one stopping you. It's just the way it is. And
I've been that person.
Yeah, haven't we all? Standing in between you and everything you want. But what you were saying, it made me think about, you know, when you want things, you have to set yourself up for success. Like he said, he wasn't going to a game without eating right. If you get a Bugatti, you do not put regular fuel in it.
Right.
Because you're going to get probably
get
30 seconds
results
down the road. And you got a pretty nice bill on your hands, right? So when you're preparing for success, you can't be sloppy. You have to do what it takes to get there. But understand, and everybody can attest to this, when you're in these situations where you don't know yourself and when life is at its worst, a lot of things are happening that keep you there. Not knowing that those things that are happening are opportunities for you to leave. A lot of people like to say, well, I all these things are happening to me. No, all these things are happening for you. Life is not happening to you. It's happening for you. Everything that happens to you can be turned into an opportunity for you to either grow or lay down and moan about it. It's all about you though and what you want to. That's why we keep mentioning this, because you literally have to remind yourself daily, what do I want? When I wake up in the morning, if I feel bad, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna lay back down. Shimon, I thought you wanted to travel into every country and be free. Ah, damn, now I gotta get up. Then you sit there, you wanna lay back down. I thought you had to provide for your kids. Then you get up. You gotta have a why. That's what I always tell you. Don't ask me how, ask me why. Why do I do what I do? If you have children and you don't want to go to work and your kid's like, Mommy, Daddy, I'm hungry, you going to work. If you don't,
they say you don't know love till you have kids.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't have family till you have children. And you don't owe nobody nothing till you have children. So treat your dreams like it's your child. Because it is. It's your inner child. We get old, we grow cold, and we grow bitter. And we leave our dreams on our pillow. Go back into your childhood. Heal your child. Whatever you was told, whatever has hurt you, go back and talk to yourself. Whatever you wanted to hear, tell that to yourself. That child is still there. I feel like I've been pretty childlike my whole life in terms of creation and being imaginative, but I feel like I awakened my inner child sometime last year in a tree. You know what I'm saying? I started climbing trees again. And I was like, man, this is fun. You know what I'm saying? This don't feel like washing dishes. This don't feel like pushing carts. And I think with my situation, I was kind of pushed and conditioned to turn cold and bitter to the world. Like my last year of high school, I felt like I didn't want to be a part of the world no more. I have pictures on my phone right now. This same day, 3 years ago, I'm looking at images of an astronaut looking at the world, because that's how I felt. And I used to search up person in space looking at Earth alone. Like that's how I felt. I'm like, you mother, like I was like that, bro. So detached and just alone. So made it back to myself, man. Healed that inner child. Didn't take life so serious. I take what I do serious. You know what I'm saying? Everything I do it right. I do it well. I make sure it's of quality. I don't like to half-ass. You know, I had a video I did yesterday actually, and it was a great video. The visual was trash. It was all blurry. It was outside, too much sun. I messed it up. I re-recorded it, and that'll be posted, tomorrow from today we recorded. But I don't know, man. Life, it's just been a journey, and this is only the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
I think the important part that I've heard out of all this is one key thing is always finding the positive and the negative. Because there's always a positive, like, even when it's the worst thing possible, right? Like, I lost the opportunity to play football that year. It wasn't over forever because it was a decision I could have made, but the game of football is not taken away from me. It only maneuvered into a different direction. Like for you, like where you said you felt miserable, you felt detached. You really wasn't miserable or detached. What you were was you was trying to learn out who is Shimon now that I can't play football. You wasn't miserable, you was confused.
Yep.
And I think it's important that when we say words to ourselves, like we realize the power that we give those words over ourselves, not upon ourselves, but over ourselves. Because like if I say that I'm a hater all my life, I'm probably gonna do nothing but hate. You know what I mean? And it's like it's important to realize that, you know, if I love myself the way that I should be loving myself, if I'm speaking to myself the way that I should be speaking to myself, there should never be a point where you can come and say something to me and that changes how I feel about me.
Gotta have that solidity.
So like that inner voice that you have, it's important that not only you're feeding the body the correct things, but the same things that you're saying to yourself are just important, right?
As above, so below. As without, so within. Yin and yang.
So I think that's the one key thing that I think I've heard in this conversation between us is that it's just important to be positive.
Yeah.
And not always negative. Like it's okay to be hard on yourself because you're supposed to be, because nobody's going to expect anything out of you the way you would expect anything out of you. So it's just, I think one thing that, you know, again, is being positive and make sure that that talk that you're having with yourself is not only very constructive and real, but just a way that it's going to help you and propel you forward to who you can become.
Absolutely. Healing. That's another thing I like to touch on too, is talking to yourself. Same thing he said. How do you conversate with yourself? And I remember, now, today, oh, he crazy. He talking to himself. But that language, when you hear that, you're like, well, I'm not going to talk to myself. I'm not crazy. But not knowing, though, you know.
Everybody do it.
Everybody do it. Those voices, you talking to yourself. You sitting there battling, you talking to yourself. So when you learn to have meaningful conversations with yourself and actually identify correctly what's going on, like he said, I misidentified confusion with misery. I'm sitting here, I don't know who I am. I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. It's all fear, because we fear the unknown. I wasn't miserable, I was confused, I was scared. And those feelings can be very similar but very different. And it caused me to go down a rabbit hole. But what I wasn't doing in that time was being constructive and healing myself, trying to do that. I just, you know, I dealt with it how I felt that it was necessary to do what I knew best. And now, being the way I am now, I like to just have healing conversations with myself. I tell myself what I need to hear, even when it's hard. And you got to be able to sit down with yourself especially, and the people around you, and your life in general, and just have those uncomfortable but meaningful conversations, because they may not seem like anything. Like we sitting here, we having a conversation. What y'all witnessing, we'd have had a million of these. And I can tell you, you know, there's sometimes I'm sitting here like, man, this about one of the only people I can speak to on this level, because a lot of our life is so similar, but so different.
At the same time, like, and I think it's also like a very judgment-free zone. Like, it's nothing that he can say to me that I would look at him and be like, Sharon, that ain't you. But it's also a good relationship to where, like, if I do say something crazy, he has more than enough range to be like, hey, bro, you tripping.
And we do.
It's just that accountability that I think we all need to have, at least one person in our life that you can really just have uncomfortable conversations with, but not only uncomfortable, but real constructive conversations too, like where you're not worried about, not necessarily like it's not a judgment thing, but I'm honestly asking your opinion because I have nobody else that I can entrust this information with and get a real answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think we forget that we have to sometimes speak out loud what we thinking, because our thoughts don't always go as clearly as we think either. And I mean, for instance, like I've called you about some things that I was very unsure about Like, I mean, we can refer back to who was in San Antonio. Like, I would have never picked up this camera again if it wasn't due to you putting that on my heart and like giving me the idea that like, hey man, it's obtainable, just as obtainable as football was for you. And I think getting comfortable and naturally like practicing myself again, I had to try to get to where I guess this conversation seemed as natural as it can be. Because if I didn't try over and over again, like failing and trying again, like we do in football, like getting knocked down and getting back up. Yeah, it got harder to get back up, but it also got easier to continue to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because every time I tried, it was one thing I got better at. Maybe it was sounding natural. Maybe it was looking into the camera and letting you know that I'm not only talking to him, but I'm talking to you. But I think the most important overall was realizing that I'm Taj McGee and I have something special to say, the same as you have something special to say, and the same as you have something special to say. Everybody has a unique perspective that nobody's seen before.
Yeah.
Because it's your perspective.
It's your perspective.
And I think it's just like remembering to allow people on that and like allow people into that perspective. Let them see what you're thinking, but don't be ashamed of what you're thinking because there's probably 20 other people out there thinking the exact same
Telling
thing.
you, somebody right there next to you that feel the same way.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And I think that was probably a turning point into that next chapter for who I was, who Taj was. And like probably the same for you. I know the many conversations we had, although our age gap was 3 years, like I never got to the point where I was at school and I was like, man, I don't know nobody to talk to. Nah, it'd be 3 a.m. and I pick up the phone, like, Shimon, what you doing? And like, and you would think that like, bro, who calling me at 3 a.m? Nah, I was never that. Cause like he would turn around and call me the next day, 3 a.m. and I'd be like, what up, bro? Like, you know what I mean? And we would run and talk for hours just about the things we want to do. I remember him telling me like, yeah, bro, I'm tired of making videos about GTA. I just want to start making some type of videos for YouTube. I don't know what type of content. But here we are, 500 something thousand subscribers later, where it's not a question of what type of content he want to make. Like he's making it. He's doing exactly what I told him he was going to do in the first place. Like, so, and he already knew he was going to do it, but it was just about him taking that time to reflect and find direction in that path that he wanted to take.
That's what it's all about, people. And that made me think about something too. It's like, you can use something every day and still not know how to use it. And me and him both know, because I think we talking about them cameras now. We just spent all this money on these cameras and still don't know what more than half, 99% of what the settings mean. But the way I like to look at life, everything is connected, as above, so below. The same way we don't know how to use these cameras is the same way that a lot of people don't know how to use their minds, don't know how to examine them, as well as us. You know what I'm saying? We still learning, and the more I learn, the more I learn that I don't know. It's that type of thing. But you can go through your life and you don't know how to analyze your emotions and your feelings, and they don't teach us those things. That's why it's important to take time to go out and find your camera settings and see what the shutter speed is. Like, you have to go out and experiment. So I try to find lessons in everything in life. So it's just profound, bro. Life is just, it's mind-boggling.
Because I mean, we say it time and time again. Well, I wouldn't have thought about that if it wasn't for you. And like, sometimes you really take for granted that statement. I wouldn't have thought about it if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have thought about that if it wasn't for you. That either. But what you don't realize is, that's not only that you wouldn't have thought about it if it wasn't for that person, but that person that you entrusted that thought to gave it power, because they gave it power because you decided that they believed in the thought that you had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's remembering not only to self-reflect, to understand who you are, but it's also to understand who you want around you. Because if you don't know who you need around you, that goal that you want, they're not pushing you to get to that. Like, people gotta hold you accountable just as much as you want to hold yourself accountable. And when I say people, I mean certain people. Not everybody's gonna care. Don't expect everybody to care. But those people that you hang around each and every day, the birds of a feather that flock together, they need to be pouring into you just as much as you feel like you should be pouring into them and into your dream. And if they're not pushing you closer to achieve your goals, what are they doing? Are they pulling you away?
They gotta be.
I mean,
they gotta be.
That's all you can really ask. Are they pulling you away? Because I know my circle got a lot smaller than what it used to be.
He was Mr. FHS, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knew him, but you know, circumstances of life, people change, turn their back, and you realize who is actually in your corner. And to your own perspective, wasn't very many.
Yeah, and it's cool though because I'm a lot happier where it's at anyway.
Quality
Yeah,
over quantity.
quantity all the
Yep.
time.
And that
I
was one of
choose
the
that.
first lessons that I learned is, the birds of a feather flock together, you'll be judged by the company you keep. My mother used to say it all the time. I thought it was just old people jive. And then a girl told me in class one day in 6th grade, she said, Shimon, I like you, but you're a bully. I'm like, huh? I'm over here getting bullied. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
She was like, well, you hang with bullies, so you must be a bully. And man, I seen every neuron that ever grew on earth. I went into a whole full circle moment. And why I'm bringing it up is because alignment. When you hang around people, you become the company that you're around. If I hang around a bunch of people and they bums, I'm probably gonna be a bum. But there is circumstances where you won't be. But I guarantee you, you won't reach the ceiling that you're supposed to. Because when I'm around people that's doing stuff, people that are ambitious, it's pushing me to be ambitious. And when I'm around people who may not be moving, I may still be doing good, but it's like, well, I can stay at level 10 because they at level 1. When you're around them level 10s yourself, now you want to be the 15. And then when you're around level 100s, you want to get to 100. So that's why it's important to be around those people. But before you do that, learn yourself, know you. Because even though we've always had our relationship, it wouldn't have grown the way it has if we didn't have our own self-discovery. Because like I said, we've never had a problem. But as you grow and, move into, more unfamiliar environments around people you don't know, when you're sure of yourself, you can be sure of what you want around you. So when you have people that may not support you, it don't matter.
Right.
Because you always got you. It feels good to be around more people. It feels good to get help. But when you're capable of doing it on your own, when you're capable of still walking down the road, you're good. Like he used to always ask me, you gonna collab with somebody? Like, yeah, but I'm so used to doing it
On my own.
On my own. I don't like to put that in a negative light. Like I don't want help, but bro,
I didn't need it. I could do it myself.
Yeah. And like I'm open for help. I'm open for collaboration. You know what I'm saying? Me and him will do our thing. When we work together, it's man, it's like you got another version of your brain. It's just like no effort at all. Like I don't even have to say certain stuff. But it's like you have to learn how to do these things for yourself. You have to learn how to be the greatest friend for yourself, the greatest business partner, the greatest motivator, the greatest coach. Be a student of yourself, of life, and everything like that before you can go out and have these relationships and, they actually develop. But
to add to that, though, like you were saying, you have to just push for yourself, right? Like, saying that I think about like these cameras, referring back to these cameras. You can ask Shimon to this day. I can walk out the room and he could tell you, we both don't play when it comes to like explaining something to somebody. Yeah, I'll give you the tools, but I'm not gonna do the work for you.
Yep.
So when I say that is he told me all I did was ask a very few questions. What kind of camera you got? What kind of lens you got? That's all I asked. When he told me that, I asked him what type of microphone he had, and he told me the DJI. I didn't need to ask how to work it because I figured that out myself. I probably didn't even need that exact camera and or lens or mic, but I went and got all that, and I told myself, okay, cool. He don't think I'm serious.
And I didn't.
He don't think I'm serious. Like I sent him a picture, like I got the camera. Well, first I said I got the camera, and he was like, well, let me see it. But I ain't respond right away. I opened it and I was like, well, I gotta wait because I forgot. It wasn't that it wasn't there. I just had to go and open it and show it to him. So I had the camera, but I had no lens. So then he was like, when you gonna get you a lens? So it was like, all right, cool. So I guess we ain't gonna shoot no videos till I get a lens. Well, of course we can't shoot no videos without a lens. So my lens come in, and then all of a sudden he was like, well, come over to the house. So I come over here, he was like, man, I didn't think you was serious. Nah, I'm serious, but I get his point because I'm the same way. Like, I'm not gonna go 50 steps if you're not even gonna take 2.
Yeah.
It's like, why I gotta put in effort for your dream and you not even trying for yours?
And we have been burnt from that because I remember many times we'd have our little group chat or whatever, or it'd just be word of mouth. We'd be at school and we'd go up there and work out. Why y'all ain't tell us y'all was going to the school to run the hill and run routes?
The same opportunity as me.
Exactly. Then they come out there, what they doing? We running the hill, they over there.
They want to talk. Yeah.
So yeah,
and y'all look tired. Yeah, we tired because we working.
Exactly. So that's where that mindset comes from me, and I don't expect anything out of people. Like, it wasn't nothing against him, and I still think he's a capable person, competent. But I've just been burnt so many times. People sit there, man, how do you start YouTube? And this has happened to people that I love dearly, love to life. How do you start YouTube? What's your posting schedule? And they take you on this 3-mile long run just to not even create an account, not even put an email on there, not even download the app. And you're like, bro, like I'm not offended by it, but it's like I could have saved all that energy for somebody who's actually serious about it. So I'm the type of person, if you don't show up, there's nothing I can do for you. I can help you in the ways that I can, but I don't have the energy to waste because I'm too busy working on myself. But when you showed me you serious, what happened?
When I showed you I was serious, we immediately went to work. We
Went to
parked the
work.
car, went and started practicing immediately.
We done made short films. We done went and shot waterfalls. We done did everything. And now we sitting here with 2 camera angles. This is my first video ever shooting with 2 camera angles. You know how to somewhat work your camera. I'm learning a little more. We got a lot more to learn, but it's just, man, growth is crazy, man. But having those people around you, including being a person of that caliber yourself, that's just the way you get to aligning yourself. And if you didn't realize, all these things have everything to do with alignment and not feeling like an imposter in your life and not living a life that's not yours. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. When it's time for you to die, you have to die for you. Somebody can jump in front of the bullet for you. They gonna die, but they died for them. They may have died saving you, but that was their biological clock. But you gonna have to pay the piper one day. And I do not want to be on my deathbed thinking, man, I should have went to Japan. Man, why did I stay down there and work at the police department for 40 years? Why did I sweep floors? I can't live life like that.
Man.
I don't want my kids to be like, I want my kids to think I'm Superman. You know what I'm saying? When I'm left behind, I want books written. I want art everywhere. I got music everywhere. You tripping over guitars. Like, that's the life that I want to live. But it's all that child in me, that inner child, that freedom, that spirit that explodes. I still want to hunt for treasure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still me. You know what I'm saying? So that's everything. Just has everything to do with alignment, and it's just good to be around people who feed that inner child and, you know, lift you up and, you know, hold you accountable and things like that. So this whole conversation, this whole existence it's an example.
Man.
Go find your people, but go find yourself first. That's where it starts with. Voila. I hope y'all like this new episode. This is something that I want to do a little more of. You know what I'm saying? Once a year. I'm leaving that in there too. Once again, we're here with the one and only Taj McGee, brother of mine.
What's up with you, man? Y'all make sure y'all go check out my channel. Again, it's just my name, Taj McGee. But what I want to say is, man, y'all keep tuning into this guy. He's growing fast. But it's the fact that you're not getting somebody that's fake. You're getting an authentic person, somebody that's giving you something real, something that's not just coming from somebody that was talking on the internet. It's coming from somebody that's dealt with these situations, that's grown from these situations. Again, tune in, because this is my guy, and this is going places not only for him, but hey, you know, subscribe and like it. Leave a comment below about what you want to see next and what topics you want us to talk about.
Let us know. The comments, the battlegrounds. You heard it first. He got to get back to posting. Staying consistent.
Definitely got to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to get on him. But, man, life be lifing, man. He doing what he got to do. And like I said, man, we all just, it's all a process. But as long as we're trying, as long as we have the courage to keep going and waking up and hitting the ground running every morning.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. So,
chance and opportunity.
I already know. I
Peace.
love y'all. Y'all take care. And go be productive. This was productive. I'm sure you learned a lot. I hope you did. But go do some push-ups. Go brush your teeth. Get off the toilet. Pay attention in class. Stop digging in your nose.
Start taking notes.
Start taking notes. Hell yeah, but peace.
Love.
Success.
Think you done king.
Done king.